My name is BJ Kratz. I'm the Southeast District Fisheries Supervisor for the North Dakota Game and Fish. We had basically no, at least that we know of, areas where we suspect winter kill occurred. Auction was phenomenally well, as you would expect, with little snow and not a lot of ice in places, so in great shape this year. Last fall we went into the winter 18 to 24 low. When I say low, I mean below the high water mark. So we weren't in bad shape. Obviously we're not going to get any kind of recharge this year, but I think with the levels that we had last fall and going into the spring, we'll be okay this summer. And who knows, we still may pick up a little precipitation. The ground is wet, at least in the Southeast District, I think, for the most part. So if we did get some precipitation, we could have some runoff yet. Walleye populations in the Southeast are in excellent shape. We didn't lose any fisheries over the winter of 23, we suspect that based on our surveys last year, the same type of lakes that were good then should be good this year for in terms of walleye populations. One anecdotal note that we've heard from a lot of folks this winter is that fishing has been good for little fish, and that means walleyes less than 8 inches or so, and typically when they make the winter, that can indicate a good year class coming up for anglers to catch in the future. Pike populations in general have trended lower over the last decade or so, and that's mainly because of our lower stocking rates in a lot of situations, and also they're kind of at the mercy of Mother Nature and how the spring runoff, presents spawning, opportunities for that fish species, since now we rely heavily on natural reproduction to sustain that. However, the northern pike are in pretty good shape in the lakes that they exist, and there's a lot of opportunities in the Southeast District. We have small impoundments. A lot of they're less than 20 acres in size. You're certainly not going to go out there and catch 100 pike or anything, but there are opportunities out there, and a lot of those places are consistently stocked each year with pike yet, and there are some nice fish in fair numbers in the smaller places as well. After the winter of 23, we lost a fair amount of perch fisheries in general, probably a couple of the better ones in the Southeast District we lost. However, the general population in most of our lakes is doing very well. It's trending lower in size, as you would expect. The good thing, if there is a good thing about winter kill in some of these places, you have situations where perch will actually, when we restock them, they grow better. So you could have an opportunity of catching those fish that anglers like to catch, 10 to 12 inches, a lot more so than lakes that have been around a long time. So perch populations are good, and they're robust, and they naturally reproduce and take care of themselves. The crappie populations in the lakes that we have them are doing fairly well. Jamestown would be the premier of the crappie fisheries. Ashtabula also has a pretty good crappie fishery, maybe fewer fish but larger fish over there, bigger opportunities for bigger fish. Smaller places, Dead Colt Creek is a neat little facility down by Lisbon that has a fair number of crappies, not necessarily big ones, but lots of opportunity there, and opportunities along the shoreline too, so it's pretty easily accessible. Lake Elsie, Richland County, is another good crappie fishery. There's a lot of crappies in that water body, and in general, we did see some indication of recruitment in pipestem, which we had lost in 2018. So hopefully in the future here, in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll see some recruitment of the smaller crappies and pipestem and get that back online. One fish species that a lot of people don't capitalize on is smallmouth bass. And the Southeast District has a couple phenomenal smallmouth bass waters, Lake Ashtabula being one, and Spiritwood Lake being another one. Great opportunities out there for that fish species. They're tremendous fighters. They're fun to catch, and you catch big numbers of them, and they typically bite all summer long, starting in early May and go into almost freeze up. You can catch them. They're not much of a winter fish. They tend to be a little less active in the winter, but that is a kind of a niche that a lot of anglers don't explore. We're kind of fortunate, at least in the Jamestown area here, and there's lots of other places throughout the district where we have good shore fishing access. And Jamestown Reservoir and Pipestem Reservoir are two good examples of excellent shoreline access. Pipestem Reservoir has a good pike population, which always has provided, recreation for anglers, not to mention the perch and the walleye population has come on pretty good since the winter kill of 2018. And that being said, you know, it's easily accessible in general. You can walk down the shoreline, there's plenty, it's public. You know, the land around the reservoirs are public, and it tends to be a good place to go shore fishing. Overall, things after the winter of last year, things are looking pretty good for the Southeast for 2024, absolutely.